My name is James Hoffmann. I've worked in coffee for maybe 20 years now. I competed in the World Roaster Championship and won in 2007. I started my coffee roasting company in 2008, Square Mile Coffee Roasters. And for the last 5 or 6 years, I've been making a lot of video online. And then I think nearly 10 years ago now, I published my first book, which was The World Atlas of Coffee. Most of my time is spent trying to make coffee more valuable to people, more enjoyable to people. First time I came out to Bellwether, early days for the company, I think it was November 2018. My first impression of the machine was two things. Firstly, that it was beautiful in a way that most coffee roasters, frankly, are not. And secondly, that it was just very exciting. This feels like a very necessary space that we need to explore as an industry. And this was a kind of pioneering piece of equipment that made me very excited. I'm back at Bellwether because a lot has changed since I was last here. It's been the first chance since the latest generation was released for me to come and see what's new, taste some new stuff, meet more of the team, and have more of those conversations that I think are really interesting about where the industry is going, what the potential is, and what is important for us to be focusing on right now as we change and evolve. We're an industry built on fossil fuels. Almost all coffee consumed today is roasted using gas. We know now that's maybe not the most sensible choice, but it's how it's always been done, and that's a massive challenge to overcome as well. I think electric roasting is particularly interesting because you have a choice about where you get your energy from. You could be powered by renewables way more easily. You can choose whether it's going to be solar or hydropower or wind or anything else. If we get to fusion, all of that stuff makes it obviously much more useful as a kind of future-proofing of coffee itself. I think we have an end date on fossil fuels. Obviously when we run out, but I hope before we run out, we work out that we shouldn't be doing it in the first place and we step away from them as a fuel source as much as possible. And in that time, we need to work out how to transition to electric-powered coffee roasting. One of the reasons I'm here is that I see a future where we have no choice but to move away from fossil fuels. It's the right thing to do, it's the sensible thing to do. So to some extent, electric roasting is inevitable. And so whether I want to do it now or not, I need to start thinking about it right now if I want to have a sustainable business, a business that can last decades more. I like the idea of a business lasting a long, long, long time, and it needs to contend with the challenges that are coming, and that means thinking about alternative fuels. If electric roasting had been available as an option when we started, I think we would have definitely looked at that. It would have allowed us way more flexibility in where we picked up our roasting facility to be. It would have been great to have a kind of cleaner approach to roasting coffee. I don't think anyone feels good looking at just a flame burning all day. It's not good for the environment that you're in. It's not good for the wider environment. Roasting coffee is difficult, and it's difficult to do repeatedly. With traditional roasting machines, you spend a long time learning to be a good and consistent roaster. And I don't think it's bad to have a little bit of help in that particular regard to deliver a better, more consistent experience for the customer. I think people worry about the loss of craft and therefore the loss of their own value, but I don't see it that way. I see it lean into where you are the most valuable and worry less about the stuff where you're likely to make mistakes and be frustrated. I'm not against having help in that area. That's where I think automation is genuinely useful and valuable and necessary. In coffee roasting today, it's a very centralized industry. You have big facilities with big roasting machines producing enormous amounts of coffee. If we look at kind of coffee roasting as a potentially decentralized sort of approach where cafes can be roasting and centralization happens for kind of sourcing and acquisition of green coffee, but roasting itself can happen much closer to the cafe and be more distributed, that's kind of interesting. There are obviously benefits to potential freshness or kind of appropriate distribution of roasted coffee. The cafe doesn't need to worry as much about ordering huge amounts of roasted coffee to bring down shipping costs, all that kind of stuff. You can buy a good amount of green coffee, it's going to be okay, and roast as you need and be a little bit more thoughtful there. So I think there are benefits to the businesses that want to put the time in and kind of turn coffee roasting into a part of that business's kind of DNA and fabric. So the coffee that we chose for this project, the decision was to sort of not go for something flashy, but go for something that had great structure and character and sweetness, and then try and bring that out in a way that I thought was enjoyable without sacrificing the underlying complexity there. We wanted to showcase the roasting profile underneath it all. And I think I've really enjoyed it. It's got a kind of nice marshmallowy sweetness to me, like it's satisfying and it's pleasing. It would be a coffee that I would be very happy to drink fresh out of bed. It's be a coffee I'd enjoy later on in the day when I'm ready to pay a bit of attention to what I'm drinking too. Just nice fruit, really nice acidity, but not distracting acidity. It's that kind of little freshening acidity that makes it feel that bit more alive and vibrant rather than being a distraction from the cup. I could not tell how that coffee was roasted, and that's great. You know what I mean? Like we're chasing transparency. I couldn't tell whether it was electric roasted or gas roasted. It was developed and sweet and fresh and vibrant and delicious. I think roasting is an opportunity to differentiate yourself in a market as long as it carries with it a genuine passion and is genuinely part of the business's character. It's not for every single business out there is this the right solution. It's the same with making pastries in-house. Maybe a thing that you're passionate about and have a vision for, and if you do, you should totally do that. But if you don't really care about that and you just want to have pastries be a part of your business, then work with a passionate supplier. That's okay, that's better for the consumer, that's better for your business. Focus on the things that you are excited about, because I think you need to be genuine in how you present yourself as a business to form a genuine relationship with your customers. I think if you want to offer a specific kind of coffee experience to your guests, this will be a really important part of that. If you want them to come and spend time and pay attention to the coffee that they drink, leaning into roasting will allow you more flexibility there and to allow you to really kind of craft an experience for them to have. I think you can kind of carve up the benefits of roasting for yourself if you're a retailer into a few different places. There is a financial benefit. If you can work out how that scales, then yes, you can make more money doing this. Two, I think there's a really valuable piece about the people that work inside the business. I think you can help retain them, keep them motivated and passionate and excited about the coffee that they serve and they sell. And I think guests coming in can feel that genuine excitement there as well. And it gives you opportunities to grow in different ways. The big thing we love about coffee is the diversity of flavor. And that means that there's a big choice out there and you can select those kind of coffees that line up most with your kind of values. And you can work to build long-lasting relationships with producers, grow your volumes, grow their volumes, be a more useful buyer, help make a wider, more sustainable industry. I think that's a big piece of it. You have to be traceable, you have to be transparent about how you do your business, how you buy your coffee, where you buy your coffee, but we still need to be excited about the coffees that we serve. You know, we are driven by taste. Coffee in the future has a number of massive challenges. We have the challenge of climate change, impacting where can grow coffee, how much coffee they can grow. Weather has an impact on yields, all of that kind of stuff. Like we have a host of challenges for specialty coffee coming. Building relationships with producers, understanding your supply chain, caring about your supply chain will have benefits down the line as coffee gets to be a little bit more difficult as an industry. I think something I keep coming back to is that there has to be a broad array of approaches to how we roast, sell, and brew coffee. And so I think there's absolutely a ton of opportunities out there for cafes who want to make roasting a part of what they do without becoming a coffee roasting business, without devoting the resources, without devoting all of the labor necessarily to do that, to have a little competitive advantage, to have something that is a deepening of a relationship with their guests, that is a way to make their business slightly diversified without being a distraction. And I think one of the interesting things about Bellwether is that this is going to allow you to do that and essentially make it more accessible. That's got to be a good thing. It's more interesting coffee going to more consumers. That's the win, right? Like that's what we're all trying to do and we'll all benefit from.